This recording is meant to be used as a quick guide on how to set up a venture for, I guess, product management or product ownership, how to create a backlog and manage a backlog. So, as you're probably already aware, a venture is set up as a channel, like a forum channel. Within these channels, there's a number of posts that can be considered like threads, which are used by members of that venture to communicate. So here's an example of how we set up the financial literacy venture. We have a number of threads or posts, one about collaboration, one about just general chatter, one where we take all our meeting notes. We have a thread where we post research materials or anything we either find interesting during our research or anything that we find on the web or that we've discovered through talking to other people. So anything there is either we can put our thoughts or we can put actual documents or links to other websites. The vision statement is obviously what drives every single venture. So this is something that's evolving, that's growing as we work on the venture. And this is just the historical discussions which existed before the venture was fully created. Now, we will be using the same system in order to manage a backlog, if you will, of work. Now, the idea is that we will use tagging in the channel and on the post or the threads in order to differentiate between the different type of posts or items. So we want to keep those as generic discussions, but we also want to be able to create epics, user stories, tasks, any action items basically that needs to be worked on in the same vein. So the first thing to do is to actually create a few tags in order to be able to classify and organize the different items. So I will start here by creating a first tag which we call general. This is something that we'll use for any post or threads which is not actually going to be a work item or an actionable item. So the things like meeting notes, general chatter, this kind of posts. Okay, then what we want is we will have different type of work items. We said we will have epics. We will have stories. We may potentially have tasks which are more, traditional, not necessarily that don't suit themselves to the user story format. And the idea as well is that once we've created an epics, we can create new tags for those epics so that we can again easily filter and view the different tickets based on specific epics, for example, that we'll be focusing on. But I think for now we have all we need to get started and to start creating items. So this is all automatically saved. We can now close this. In order to add a tag to an existing post, so in my case, I'm going to tag the existing post as general so that we can easily later find them. So to do this, I'll use the ellipsis up here on the top right and then tag them as general. I will do that for all of them. Okay, and now that we've tagged all of them, I'm going to show you an example of creating. Let's create an epic. So new post, and let's say that we are looking at an epic which is to do with researching financial literacy. That's what we'll call it for now. This is really purely an example. You know, we need, as a group, I would say within your venture, it's up to you together, and I guess to whoever is going to be your product owner, to figure out what the epics and items are. For the sake of this video, just to keep it simple, I'm just going to call it researching financial literacy. You can put a little description along the lines of capture all work items related to performing research around the financial literacy venture. And we said that this was an epic. So once we post it, we now have a new epic. If we ever wanted to change the description, we could easily just go and edit here. Now, because I created this epic, I'm going to go in the channel and add a new tag, which we'll call researching financial. Okay, so we have a limit fin lit. Okay, and now I can go and I can create a story which is research fin lit, part of the epic, but it's also a story, so I need to select both tags. I give it a title which is for example perform research online. Usually your stories, you know, will be a bit more targeted and probably a little bit more yeah, a little bit more complete than that, I suppose, or a bit more focused is the word I'm looking for. We don't want to do anything that's too high level, otherwise then it becomes an epic. Remember that stories needs to be completed, you know, fairly quickly. So that's why we want to keep them quite short. Now, so the user story would be as a venture member, I want to understand the current state of financial literacy within UK universities. Okay, let's call that perform research with UK universities. So it's a little bit more specific, so that I can evolve the vision statement, right? So who's going to be, I guess, who's going to be deriving value from doing this? What should be done, and what would actually be the outcome of doing that work. Then what we'd like to do, all good user stories should have acceptance criteria. And that should be something like, given I have spoken to some uni students when I have collected their feedback, then I will document it in Google Drive. That's just a high-level example. I haven't thought that through completely, but it's just to give you an idea of how we want to do this. So this is called behavior-driven development, or in some technical circles, it's known as gherkin. It's mostly used for testing, but it's for testing that we have completed the story, what we set out to do. Now, the details of writing stories, epics, and all of this is I think it's a subject for another video. For now, let's just accept that this is how we organize the backlog, and we'll do some follow-ups on actually how to write good stories and epics, and how to do proper backlog management. Now I post it and it's done. Now the last thing I just want to show you is if I want to just look at epics, for example, I just click epic. I only want to look at stories, I can look at stories. I want to look at stories in that epic, I can just select, and this is how I then use the filtering. Right, so I'm looking forward to see you in another video. For now, goodbye.